ABC is hoping to once again strike comedy gold with Tim Allen. Of course, he had the long run in Home Improvement in the 90s, more recently, Last Man Standing, and now we've got Shifting Gears. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for Shifting Gears. This is a Tim Allen ABC comedy airing Wednesday nights with new episodes. So far of this recording, 2 have aired. And boy, am I glad I watched past the first episode. It is a god-awful pilot. But you know what? Sitcom pilots are tough. They all can't be Going Dutch, which I reviewed very favorably after just one episode last week. That is on Thursdays on Fox. But look, sitcom pilots, you have to, establish the setting, the characters, their relationships with each other, and get some jokes in there as well. And it is tough. For every really great sitcom pilot like Cheers or something, you have, 10 or 12 that you really need to wait till the second or third episode to really figure out what the show is going to be. Now, with something like this, look, Tim Allen is playing essentially the same character. He's played on all of his sitcoms so far, sort of the dumb white guy with a lot of loud opinions. And that's what it seemed like from the ads. So I'm not surprised at all by that. But there were absolutely no funny moments in that first episode. So I'm glad I watched past that. The second episode is better. We'll talk about all of this here in just a moment. But first, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews subscribers, thank you so much for that. Love having you guys return. But if you're not, please consider subscribing. Click that notification bell too so you get the alerts for all my video drops. Or you can just like this video, comment below, or share it on your socials. That, of course, helps the channel out as well. So the co-star here is Kat Dennings, and she is no stranger to the multi-camera sitcom as well, of course. She did Two Broke Girls for many years on CBS. But Tim Allen, look, he is devoted to ABC and Disney. Not only does he have, these long-running TV shows there, but he also did the Santa Claus movies, and he voices Buzz Lightyear, obviously, for the Toy Story movies. So a long, long history with ABC, and back then, I guess it was owned by Touchstone when Home Improvement was on, but then since, obviously, Disney. And look, this looked like a bad show from the ads, and like I said, judging by that first episode, I was right, but it may actually, have some redeeming values. The second episode definitely made me laugh. It was better for sure. The premise here is a widower named Matt, that's Tim Allen, is running an auto shop with one of his buddies, Sean William Scott's character, Gabriel. Daryl Chill Mitchell is also there as Stitch, and he ends up taking in his estranged daughter and her 2 children. She is down on her luck. She's going through this horrible divorce, and so she shows up and says, hey, need a place to crash for a little bit. He suggests maybe 2 days would be good, but she's thinking, obviously, it's a bit longer than that. And we have, as well as her kids, Maxwell Simpkins, who you may know from another Disney show, the Disney Plus version of The Mighty Ducks. And then Barrett Margolis is Georgia. Unfamiliar with her. But all right, so look, I am not a Tim Allen sitcom fan. It's interesting because I've always thought his movies were pretty good. Obviously, I mentioned the Santa Claus, Toy Story movies. But even like something like Wild Hogs, that's sort of kind of a throwaway movie, was a lot of fun. But then you've got Galaxy Quest. Tim Allen's movies, for the most part, have been pretty solid. But even as a teenager, when Home Improvement was on, I thought it was stupid and horrible. I liked the stuff with Richard Karn, as Al doing the shtick, on Tool Time. But every episode is basically the same. Tim, messes something up, goes next door to talk to the guy in the fence. I forget his name, Earl or something. I think Earl Hindeman was the name of the actor, but whatever. Goes to talk to him. He gets some advice. He goes back, mangles the advice when he tells Jill or the kids or whoever he's apologizing to or whatever. And that's the show. It was every episode. So even then, I thought, God, this guy is terrible and his show stinks, even when it was, the number 1 show in the country. So then, all right, he did some movies that I liked, and then Last Man Standing came on. I thought it was okay. I thought it was better than Home Improvement, actually. And then this one comes on, and, it is exactly what I thought it was going to be in terms of his character, Matt. And I mentioned this in my Going Dutch review because Dennis Leary has been doing the same thing for like 30 years, too. but it works a lot better. It's a lot more clever, I guess. Here we just have this, you know, old white dude who's, you know, complaining about how Pluto's not a planet anymore and how why are kids getting special treatment for their anxiety. And it's like the most hackneyed crap that you could have. And I knew that's what his character was going to be just from the trailer and just from, you know, knowing who Tim Allen is. So that first episode was a tough watch. Not one laugh. And I like Sean William Scott a lot too. I don't think he's done any sitcoms. But you know, I've always liked him since the American Pie days. But even he just adds nothing. The script wasn't there. It wasn't funny. I didn't care about any of these characters. But then something interesting happened. We get to this second episode, and I will note that the second episode was written by sitcom veteran Bob Daly, who wrote for Frasier and Desperate Housewives, and so he knows his way around a joke. And even though the second episode leaned even more into Matt's idiocy as a character, that's where we get the Pluto discussion, and a big chunk of the episode's plot was about what's her face, Kat Dennings' kid. I forgot her name for a second. I was going to say Beth Bayers. That's the other two broke girl. But Kat Dennings' kid is, you know, having anxiety, and he has to get, you know, special programming in the school to take tests longer. And so Matt is going around ranting about that. And, oh, why don't you just hunker down and study? It's like, dude, you know, come on. I knew what the character was going to be. However, there is an interesting chemistry between Allen and Dennings, and I actually ended up laughing like 3 or 4 times at jokes in this episode. I think part of it is sort of like that Home Improvement formula. They make Tim Allen look a bit of a buffoon, right? Which I guess worked for a lot of people back in the Home Improvement days as well, even though it didn't really work for me. But they are sort of not making this, okay, this guy is the standard bearer. We need to listen to him and look up to what he's saying and all of that. You know, they're making him the butt of the joke a little bit. And I don't mind that because he's obviously extreme in his, you know, opinions that he's spouting off that are not, you know, really PC or whatever for this generation. But through that, there are some laughs. Kat Dennings, look, she's very funny. I hated Two Broke Girls too. I watched like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of that, and I thought, boy, this is terrible. And then it went on for like 6 seasons or whatever. But I never liked that show either. But she is funny. I mean, she's been funny in movies. She was in the Thor series. So I think the two of them actually have an okay chemistry. I'm interested to see where this show goes from here. Now, I will say, even the concept is not original. This exact same concept was part of a sitcom in the 90s, and I forget what it was called. I forget who was in it, but it was from the same team that brought us Home Improvement. So, obviously, Tim Allen knew very well about whatever the sitcom was. Obviously, I guess he thought the plot was interesting enough that he decided to remake it or whatever. I don't think he created this show, but I'm just saying, you know, there's no way he didn't know that this other show was around in the 90s. It might have been Stacy Keach, or Ed Asner or something. I don't remember, but it did exist, and it was this exact same premise. Auto shop owner, you know, the daughter's going through a divorce, has to move in, and I think the wife had passed away in that too. So not an original concept, absolutely not an original character for Tim Allen. But after an F of a pilot, there's some potential here. I don't know how much, and I'm not really going to be watching to find out, but I am glad I watched that second episode because it is far better than the pilot. So if you do decide to check out Shifting Gears, watch more than just the first episode, or now that you know the premise, skip the first episode entirely and just get to the second episode, and you know, I think you'll have a more enjoyable experience. I leave Shifting Gears with a C minus, and that's just really balancing out, you know, the F, and probably the second episode's like a C plus. So between those two, but if it keeps going in that tradition of the second episode, I think probably a C or a C plus is more where this show is going to land. All right, but that will do it for now. You can check out new episodes of this on ABC Wednesdays. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.